Sora, there are a number of features that our students can use for accessibility access. I'm going to open up a book that I currently have in Sora that I've taken out. You'll notice right now that it's set up for a double page like you would have with a paper or soft cover text. I'm going to go up to the first circle here, click on that, and that's going to take it to being in the format of one page so that way a student may find it a little bit easier to follow along. If I then go to the 3-line space, I'm going to focus on one section in here today, the reading settings. If I click on that space, there's something called text scale. If you look to the left, you're going to notice that the text is quite small. As I take this marker to the right-hand side, you're going to notice that the text increases quite dramatically. The great thing about this is a couple of things. One, the student can see it more clearly. The second is that a student can also feel that it is a lot easier text to be able to read as opposed to something that's really small and overwhelming. So they may encounter books that they feel more comfortable reading now in comparison to a paperback copy with the smaller font. From there, we can then go back into reading settings and look at the different colors of lighting. Bright is the one that is set for the publisher's default. We can then go to sepia, which is giving you a nice soft background, or into dark, which allows some of our students who have visual challenges to be able to see the text a lot clearer. It also allows some people who find their eyes getting tired with the white background a chance to give their eyes a little bit of a break and have that darker background with the white text in front. Going back in there once again, I can then go back. I can go down to Open Dyslexic Font, which gives us that nice clear font for some of our students that allows the text to sit on the page a little bit better for them in order for them to be able to access the text. Whenever a student sets this up or a teacher sets this up in their space, it will stay that way for all of the books that they continue to read from there. So once you've done it once, you don't have to repeat it for every book. I'm going to head back to the publisher's default, and that's going to allow me to go back to the way that it was originally. I can then click on Done, and that gives us the space back the way it was. Something else that we can do is we can click on the beginning or anywhere in the text, and we can drag that across and highlight that whole space. So we click Highlight, choose a color, and then click out of there, and that will keep that highlighted for us within the book. I can then click on a word once again, select it, and then I can get the definition for that word. I can use Read and Write, open that up, and use the screenshot reader in order to set a box around here to have that definition read to me. Click Done, gets us back out of that space. I can also select a word, highlight it, and then select a different color and create a note. When I create a note, it's going to save in this space for me to be able to access even after I return the book. So I can enter my note right here. I'm also able to, on a Chromebook, use the speak or the talk to text feature, which would allow me to speak right into this note, and then I would click Done, and that would save that for me. If I click once again in the middle of the page, I can close this space out, and I'll show you where you can find those notes. If I go to a couple of different spaces here, I'm going to be able to find them. The first space being my home page, and this is where it's going to save anything that I have defined and it is also going to save any of my recent notes and highlights, even if I no longer have that book on my shelf. I can see all my notes and highlights. I can also go to my shelf space where I have my books that I currently have on loan. I can click on options, and that's going to allow me to do a number of things. I can renew the book, I can return it early, I can mark it as done, and I can also see my notes and my highlights. So if I click on this space here, it's going to take me to all the notes and highlights that I have within this specific book. I can then click on this rectangle over here with the arrow, and I can select my Google Drive, and it'll send all of those notes to my Google Drive, and I can open them in a Google Doc in order to be able to work with them.
The last thing we're going to have a look at today is for students who have a Chromebook, the ability to have an ebook, any ebook in Sora read to them. So the first thing they would want to do is install the Select to Speak feature from the accessibility section in the Chromebook. Once they have done that, they would click on Select to Speak, and then they can create a box. They just draw a box around the text, let go, and it would start to read that text for them. You'll notice that it will section off each sentence or a couple of sentences at a time. It'll highlight as it's reading the text, and it'll continue to shift down the page until they select the stop button once again. So that is called Select to Speak, and it will work in all of the textbooks within Sora. Wanting to make sure once again that when you use this feature, you select the single page as opposed to the double page in order for the text to be read.
That's just a few of the accessibility features that are available in here. There are other options available. I just felt it would be important to highlight some of those ones to get you started.